One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Let me be free. From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. A metal mayhem that will never die. With engines roaring, he paves his way. A legend in the making, day by day.
Well, we happen to be back for another week of chaos. Good morning to everybody. Let's get it. All right, so as you guys can see, Trump halts Iran strikes as well as Hormuz warning and Hamas deal tested. Now, we're going to get into what I mean by all of that. But quickly, first, let's go ahead and go through our what we have to discuss this morning on a chronological scale. We're going to be discussing there's a death toll that has been rising in Morocco, Spain, border breach. Right now, it's rose up to 67 people, unfortunately, have died from this whole crazy border breach that we've been watching. Then we have Trump planning to escalate war with Iran if nuclear negotiations aren't met. Now, that came out 2 days ago. Both of those stories, what I'm talking about, is coming out from, I believe, Friday afternoon-ish time. And obviously it leads us up into where we are this morning. Then Trump says U.S. will hold off on further Iran strikes. And that came out, it looks like Saturday, maybe afternoon as well. Then we have Iran suspected of attacking U.S. water systems. Now, yes, this was some reports, and I don't honestly know how valid that really is, but I'm sure it could be. Then Ohio GOP representative Max Miller faces abuse allegations. Oh, no, dude. Then we also have another representative, Marcy Captor, injured in a hit-and-run crash on her way to church, police say. And this happened, obviously, yesterday. Then we have Trump on Air Force One. Trump says U.S.-Iran talks will begin this week after pausing major attack. Now, the big talks are supposed to be happening today, actually. So we'll be watching it nonstop this week. I mean, just like we always do. Middle East update: Hamas disarmament deal reportedly faces Israeli concerns. Yeah, that it's not going to actually fucking happen or something. What's the concern? Then we have Iran war. Trump cancels U.S. strikes ahead of renewed talks. And then we have Trump, new talks on Iran will begin Monday, which is today, and that coming out only an hour ago. So we've got all the latest up-to-date information on this stuff. Make sure, let's go ahead and do our call to actions, and then we'll get into the madness of this morning. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. It's very much appreciated, and it's free to do so. You know what else is free? Is hitting that subscribe button. This is what we do Monday through Friday, and then, of course, we have members only on Saturday morning, where we don't discuss any of this shit anyways. Speaking of members, please consider becoming a member, starting only at $4.99 a month, making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody. But check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves, as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Little side note here, make sure you guys follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as the, politics in general. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. And we also have a Discord server for all of you legends. If you guys use Discord, go in the video description down below. That's where you can get the invite link. And it's us as a community, but of course, the great part about it is as well is we have breaking news in there where there's a little area in the Discord where I break minute by minute news. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen at any time. You can donate to those where I get 100% of the proceeds. And of course, we'll read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a normal super chat. All right. Good morning to everybody, man. Real quick, I got to give a big special shout out to right before we started the show, Mr. Al Patterson showing out and giving out 5 gifted memberships. That's a major, major W. By the way, thank you very much, kind sir. It goes a long fucking way. Absolutely. And that's literally my comment back to him. I was like, yo, yeah, that's that yo right there. Yo! All right, real quick, let's go ahead and see who's in the building. We got Easy Frank in the chat, my man. Good morning. We got Charles Darwin from Down Under. Always appreciate you. We got Naomi in the building as well. Good morning to you. We got Jamie Lindsay as well. Always appreciate you guys, man. We got Mr. Al Patterson. And like I said, we got KP, my man. Good morning to you, as well as Miss Lotus. Good morning to you as well. And yes, Naomi lets everyone know. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in. Very much appreciate it. We put a lot of hard work into this. We got Gary as well. Good morning. We got Steve Posey. Thank you for hanging out with us. Did you run out of targets? Charles says. Well, he might be running out a little bit of a selection of things that he can be targeting until it goes to like civilian level shit, like water supply and which I hope doesn't have to get to that point, but like energy grids, whatever. Let's see. We got Virginia Chaos, my man. Good morning to you as well. Always appreciate you. We got OI in the building. Thank you for hanging out with us. We got Logical Spark as well. Good morning. And yes, I hope everyone did have a great and phenomenal weekend. We got Rabbit of Chaos as well. Good morning to you guys, man. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to be talking about real quick. Death toll rises to 67 in Morocco-Spain border breach.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. The time 8:09 on the East Coast and 5:09 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow. I'll be here for the next 2 hours as we continue to break down all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. And as always, we are covering a lot of breaking news that continues to come into the newsroom. Take a look at this.
Man, how do you get all these motherfuckers coming in at once? Like thousands and thousands of people. How do you get them all to come at once? Who's got to plan that?
Video here as the death toll sadly now rising to 67 after tens of thousands of people breached the border heading from Morocco into Spain's Ceuta territory. The update coming in this morning from the Spanish government here. Again, 67 people confirmed dead, but that number could rise. Now, some of those
and I'm sure it has risen. This was reported on Friday afternoon. So let me go ahead and also look up. I'm gonna do this. I'm actually going to look up right now and see if this is the confirmed number as of this morning.
Migrants were seen swimming for several miles through the sea, facing down law enforcement who tried to turn them back with water cannons, tear gas, warning shots, all of that. Those who died either drowned or were killed in a stampede to cross a breakwater barrier that was near that border checkpoint. Now, officials there do estimate that about 60,000 migrants were involved in all of this. Again,
60,000. Holy
this
fuck.
video coming in from the last several days.
Okay,
here.
so the update. So it's saying this was on Friday, right? So this is death toll is risen to 67. But the actual number as of right now, it says no, 67 is no longer the latest reported figure. The 67 deaths figure was accurate in early reporting as Spanish authorities continued recovering victims after the mass migrant rush from Morocco into Spanish enclave. And it says the latest report numbers are at least 72 confirmed deaths, according to Spanish officials. That's coming from Reuters, by the way. The situation remains fluid, and local officials have indicated the toll could rise further as recovery and identification efforts continue. Some local counts have even reported higher totals, though 72 is the figure most consistently cited by major international outlets, such as Reuters, coming out from Reuters. All right. So that at least we got what's going on with that.
I do want to talk more about all of this, what it means, what happened, and what happens next. I want to bring in Simone Rodan-Benzuquin. She is the senior envoy for Europe at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you so much.
What's up, No Girl? Good morning to you.
Much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Thank you very much, Josh, for having me this morning.
And I
72
want to
now.
start by kind of going over the basics here because there is a lot to this, a lot of bits and pieces that are coming in. And of course, that leads to a lot of misinformation and communication. So, for folks out there, can you explain exactly what's going on here with Spain and Morocco?
So first of all, you described it very well. What happened in Ceuta is both a humanitarian tragedy and a very serious security situation. You have to understand, this is a tiny city. It's basically a few thousand, 85,000 people in the city, and 60,000 people came into this.
God damn, I didn't know that. I didn't realize there was that little population in their direct city. What? I got to hear that figure again.
Tragedy and a very serious security situation. You have to understand, this is a tiny city. It's basically a few thousand, 85,000 people in the city, and 60,000 people came into this tiny city.
God damn. Oh, hell no.
Denied.
I'd be so livid.
In a matter of 24 hours. It is also a humanitarian crisis because you mentioned it rightfully. There's at least 67 people who have died. Now, the reasons why
the updated number is 72 now.
This has happened are multiple, but one of the main reasons is that there has been a strategic failure that Spain basically has outsourced for years the decisive protection of a European border to Morocco.
Oh, shit.
And discovered then when...
You know what? I'm an asshole. We got Mr. Al Patterson also sent over on the Cash App right when we started. I'm super sorry that I'm just now seeing it. I was just too focused on getting the show started. But he sends in, Mr. Al Patterson sends in 420 times 2, which would be 840. Yes, sir. Thank you for the Cash App. Very much appreciate it. You know exactly where it's going.
When Moroccan enforcement on their side sort of doesn't work so well anymore, or even disappears, then Madrid has basically no independent capacity to stop the influx.
And of course, you're looking at some of the video of different protests that have taken place. We've seen a lot of that happening. We've seen the video. We brought live images of this about, I would say, 24 hours ago as all of it was seen unfolding there. You can see so many people in the water. How is Spain going about balancing the humanitarian concerns with border security when you have something of this magnitude?
Humanitarian concerns? Like what kind? Like feeding them?
So first of all, most of the migrants have now returned to Morocco already. But the bigger question now is, of course, political. Prime Minister Sanchez is in a very difficult position because there are loads of questions that are being asked.
Dude, this shit is so sickening to watch. So sickening. And then you got motherfuckers out here giving aid to these people while they just trample all over their fucking country. Let's go ahead and just aid these people. Man, I'd be more like, with like, hey, let's get the army out here and let's get you just start shooting into this shit. Not really, you know what I mean? But let's get these motherfuckers out of here.
There's also a wider European question because many European countries within the EU now have said this cannot happen.
Look at that shit.
The European Union must be able to protect its outside borders and not be in the situation where it, is being flooded by migrants, creating a humanitarian catastrophe and of that sort. And
see, you're not even wrong, Charles. You get someone doing that, what I just gave on the sound effect, yeah, those motherfuckers are going to scatter.
So there will be, of course, now be very, very serious questions that will be asked to the Spanish government. And
Turn
also,
around,
of course,
bitch.
There will be questions.
We got Quick Shoe in the building. Shout out to my man. Good morning to you. Great to see you. Happy start of the week to you and everybody, my man.
To the relationship between Morocco and Spain, because the question will be whether Morocco has sufficiently guarded the border or whether it even used some of the sort of let the open border migrants come into the country. So it will be a very complicated political situation, I think, within the European Union, with some very, very tense discussions, I believe, in the days and weeks to come.
Man, she is the best FDD representative I think I've seen yet. I mean, a lot of these guys from the FDD, man, they just are goofballs. I'm really not concerned too much more about what she has to say in that part. Let's go ahead and move on into these other images that I'm seeing.
Basically, the free circulation of people within the European
continent. This one.
The same goes for Denmark. The same goes for Austria. So this will obviously create a little bit of debate here on the ground. And obviously also with elections coming up in several key countries, in France in particular, in 2027, it will also obviously the question of immigration, the question of how do we...
Yeah, they did, Charles. It's like I forget what they exactly call it, but it's not like a state of emergency, but it kind of is kind of thing where they shut it all down and all that. But how are they going to enforce it?
Protect our borders will obviously be key.
Are they going to enforce it? You could just say all day long, yeah, it's shut down. Well, are you going to enforce that? That's the hard part.
And just one thing I would like to mention, one of the things that I think has become very clear is that the Prime Minister of Spain has been such a proponent of immigration. He has spoken
bullshit
about the fact that he wanted to legalize over 1 million illegal migrants in Spain.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit.
So the question now that is coming from other European countries is whether this has actually not created the situation that then immigrants from Morocco actually wanted to come to Spain. And again, because there is free circulation within the European Union, it doesn't only pose a problem for Spain, but for the larger European Union.
Yo, Virginia Chaos, that's low-key way funny. Enforce it like Cash App does, yo. He's been blocked twice from donating to me because of just using a word.
Are you going to be watching for here as, again, you mentioned that a lot of these migrants who headed over there and crossed the border, some making the trek for miles upon miles in that water there, have returned over to Morocco. And what are you going to be watching for here in the coming hours, days, and potentially weeks?
Well, basically what the government's going to fucking do, especially. How are they going to actually enforce it? All right, let's go and move on from this lady. She did a phenomenal job, in my opinion, because a lot of the FDD guys, man, they're just goofballs. But they do have some good information, some good insight sometimes, but she was by far the better one. All right, Trump planning to escalate war with Iran if nuclear negotiations aren't met. And now this, I'm going to give you just the top monologue. We're not going to go and play this whole thing because we have updated information that leads us to this morning. Okay, so this is, let me see what day this came out. This came out, it looks like on Friday evening, Friday afternoon, something like that.
Right-hand side of your screen, an image that you're probably familiar with.
Oh, so it came out Saturday morning. That's when it came out.
At this point, as we've shown it quite a bit over the past several months here, that is the Strait of Hormuz provided by marine traffic. And I want to get you to the latest coming in out of the region here as the White House is signaling that President Trump is weighing new strikes against Iran as tensions rise, including with those new Iranian attacks this week on ships in the Strait of Hormuz. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt telling Fox News Digital in response to reports of those expanded attacks against Iran that Tehran, quote, will continue to pay. Now, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, as I mentioned, telling Fox News in response to those reports that Tehran will continue to pay, quote, the United States signed an MOU with Iran and they broke it, shot at commercial ships and killed Americans.
That is true. That is true. The United States did sign an MOU with Iran and then they did break it. Shot at commercial ships and killed American soldiers, which is also true.
Soldiers. President Trump is not going to stand by and allow this terrorist behavior to occur. Iran will continue to pay until they come to the table in what President Trump deems a meaningful way. Now, we also heard President Trump asked about this as he was speaking there at Camp David just yesterday.
There's a report that you got a proposal from the military to go big and hit them hard over 10 or 14 days.
Well, we're going big.
Are you going to
We've already gone big. Look, what's big? Their radar is all gone. Their leaders are all gone. Everything's all gone. But they'll fight on them.
Oh, shit.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
All right, so again, that was President Trump there at Camp David during his cabinet meeting just yesterday. Now, in the meantime, the Hamas terror group is telling the Associated Press that it will follow President Trump's plan and disarm if Israeli troops leave Gaza. And you are taking a live look at this hour over Gaza City. Trump announcing just days ago that the terror group had agreed to do that. Eylon Levy is the former Israeli government spokesperson, joining us now live to discuss everything related here to the Middle East. Eylon, as always, thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, I really don't, it's automatic going to be biased as fuck, obviously. But let me go ahead and just get the top monologue of what this guy's got to say. If it's too much bullshit, I'll just let you know and we'll move on.
Hello, Josh. Good to join you.
And I have to ask you here first off.
What's up, brother TNT? Good morning and happy start of the week to you, my man.
About that situation, because Hamas tells the Associated Press, which is a weird phrase to say overall, but says that they are going to disarm if Israeli troops leave Gaza. What do you make of that? Can you believe what a terror group has to say?
Usually when something sounds too good to be true, it is. And here Hamas is telling us the small print. I think it's a little bit confused. Hamas needs to disarm and Gaza must demilitarize before Israel pulls out of the Gaza Strip.
Of course, that's going to be how Israel's going to move. Of course.
Israel is not going to allow a terrorist army to sit on its borders again. First, Hamas must get rid of its weapons. Then Israel will withdraw so that the border will be safe for the Israeli communities that were so barbarically attacked on October 7th.
Okay, all right, enough. Yeah, you're done. Enough of that shit. Typical. That's exactly what I thought he was going to do too. All right. Trump says U.S. will hold off on further Iran strikes. This came out, it looks like Saturday afternoon. So let's go and see what is going on here. Here we go.
We're getting breaking news.
It actually came out in the evening, Saturday evening.
From President Trump on the Iran war. Let's get straight to it. I'll read it verbatim. The USA is locked and loaded and ready to go against the Islamic Republic of Iran at levels of military terror, strength, and power not seen since World War II. Despite this, we have just been asked by Iran and other Middle Eastern countries to hold off any attack in that perimeters of...
Real quick, we got Prez in the building. Shout out to my man. Good morning.
A deal has been agreed to. This would include the immediate, complete, and total opening of the Hormuz Strait and an end to Iran's nuclear threat. Based on this request, I have agreed, for the future benefit of the world and likewise the survival of a successful and prosperous Iran, to cancel the attack, subject to being able to rapidly make a deal. The country of Israel joins me in this commitment. Get to work, everybody, and get it done. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Trump says on social media. So he starts by saying that the U.S. is locked and loaded, and surely there have been reports to suggest that there could be some sort of larger scale attack that the U.S.
Right. But now we're in current time now. There was a little bit different landscape on Saturday evening than it is today, where we've got some diplomatic talks that are going to actually happen today. And I'll let you guys know how that goes tomorrow, essentially.
Was getting ready for. And President Trump says that the U.S. has just been asked by Iran to hold off any attack, in that the parameters of a deal have been agreed to. President Trump says that he wants the complete and total opening of the strait and an end to Iran's nuclear threat. So, President...
Yeah, the good luck. I don't know how it's going to be all enforced and how it's all going to actually happen in the end. All right. I worry for our exit strategy with Iran. It's going to be like that's what you guys have heard me say since day one. Anyways, Iran suspected of attacking U.S. water systems. Now, let's go ahead and bring this up. It actually didn't get that much attention, so it must not even be really true. It was just a claim. And this is typical.
Let's track the latest in the Middle East. Let's bring retired Marine Intelligence Officer, National Security Analyst.
Hey, I'm always down to hear it from Hal, so let's do it.
And the host of the Strap Podcast, Hal Kempfer, in here with me. Hal, we want to talk about a couple of headlines that have made it across my plate here. I want to start with this one from the New York Times, saying at least 7 states are among the targets of cyber attacks on U.S. water systems. They say it increasingly appears that this is the work of the Iranians. Hal, the main concern has never been Iran striking the U.S. mainland directly. But this is a reminder that doesn't necessarily mean they can't try to do damage in other ways.
Yes, and they can do it in other ways. That is true. We got Steve Posey, by the way, coming in with the 800 joules and says, turn it up. My man, absolutely. Turn that shit up. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 800 joules, man. That's $8 right.
What is your reaction to this story?
Austin, I'm really not surprised.
Real quick, we got Texas Gidget as well. Good morning to you. Great to see you.
The Iranians have been doing things like this in this realm for quite some time. They love to go after utilities. We've had other water systems attacked in a cyber attack mode in the past, and we thought those were tied to the Iranians as well. So I'm not really surprised this is happening. I think it started with one state, but they started looking at water systems in multiple states. And of course, when you do, you start seeing lots of things. There's a capability that the Iranians have. They have always been leaning forward on using cyber warfare tools, if you will, in a variety of different ways.
I just think that it would be very hard. I'm sure that they attempt to hack us every fucking day, but this is the United States we're talking about. You know, you're going to have some super skilled and people and resources, talent, all of that to be able to get past our shit. So I don't know, man. I think a lot of that is just all like threats. It's just empty threats.
I'm not really shocked at all to see this. And another thing is like with terrorism, the Revolutionary Guard Corps is a designated terrorist group. Hybrid warfare, as far as the Iranian state is involved, that's another thing they do, where they will go out there and conduct all these sorts of attacks. And it does kind of blur a distinction between a non-state actor and a state actor. But they love to do asymmetric warfare, and this falls well within the scope of where they feel comfortable.
You know, another story that made it across my plate recently, Hal, I wanted to ask our producing team here if we can put up the Washington Post article. There it is. The Post says that the top U.S. general in Europe privately warned the Pentagon this week that he lacks sufficient naval forces to continue protecting Israel from incoming ballistic missiles. Hal, this is just kind of an example of something that you and
I'm going to be honest. I didn't even know about that. This happened right here. It's not surprising to me, but I didn't hear about this.
Discussed on air so many times. How is this war constraining the U.S. military?
Well, it's constraining in terms of all the ships that have been deployed in the region, and he was specifically talking. I think he says he's one destroyer short of what he really needs. Now, we had surged in earlier when the war started. We had surged a number of ships, not just in and around the Persian Gulf, not just around the around Iran, but also in the Mediterranean.
Real quick, Bob, that's a very, very good point that you make, by the way. Absolutely. I agree.
Specifically to help protect Israel. And one of the things that came out, one of the news items that came out was that we ended up during that cycle actually using more U.S. missiles to intercept ballistic missiles and drones coming from Israel, coming from Iran to Israel, than Israel had used of their own, which was a little bit surprising. So he's basically saying, look, we just don't have that many ships. We're obviously, I think he's probably didn't say it, but he's probably inferring that we're low on anti-ship or anti-missiles, anti-ballistic missile systems as well. But that's not a surprise. We're stretched.
Right, and that's exactly what I was just saying before he said it, was that's not even a surprise. All right, let's go and move on. We got a couple of things. We got to bring it back to the States, local here for a minute. We got a couple of stories that are breaking or have happened over the weekend that is interesting. We got Ohio GOP Representative Max Miller faces abuse allegations. Now, I actually don't know anything about the story, so we're going to find out together right now. Here we go. If it'll ever fucking go.
I'm Ryan Schmelz. We are going to get to our next story here. When Dr. Timothy Shriver jumps on, we will definitely take that live. But we do need to play this out because Congressman Max Miller, he's the congressman from Ohio in somewhat of a swing district, but he is facing calls to resign after divorce documents were made public, which detail allegations of abuse towards his ex-wife, who is also the daughter of Bernie Moreno, the senator from Ohio. Miller just went live on his X feed and decided to push back on those allegations and says that he is not going to be dropping out of his race. So let's go ahead and take that video live and listen to what Miller had to say.
All right. Sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. It's our first time doing a live stream, and I just want to say hello.
Hey, and by the way, W to any of these representatives or people that are running for, like whatever. I think it's awesome that, like, I actually respect that he's on a live stream right now, for instance. A lot of these are pre-recorded things, and then they go back and trim out the shit that they didn't like what they said, or they polish it up. And I think at this point, when you're talking to the people, it should be live. We have the technology for it. I think it also keeps everybody honest. You can only fake it so much on a live stream, right? You're going to get called out on your bullshit.
I wanted to come on here live to address these allegations that the media has been putting out nonstop. This isn't about defending myself. I'm speaking up as a father, trying to protect our daughter. For months, my family and I have watched how people have been relentlessly attacked. Accusations dominate headlines while far too little attention has been paid to the facts. I've been portrayed as an abusive husband, an abusive father, and a violent man. Those allegations have damaged my reputation, caused enormous pain to my family, and most importantly, it's affected our daughter.
Sucks.
Today, I'm on here because I've received dozens of interview requests about this topic, but I've learned from the two that I have already done that the truth will not come out that way whatsoever. And we need to continue to push this. The left-wing media already has a narrative that's chopping it up into reality for them.
So he's reading his script, by the way. And it's okay to read a script. I genuinely like when people are able to do it off the cuff kind of thing. And but it's hard because you got a lot of shit that you want to be able to cover and you don't want to forget. That's why, when I go speak, I mean, like I spoke at the Alabama State House, for instance. Yeah, I wrote that shit down, of course. Now, did I memorize most of it? Of course. But I think that it's okay to have that. So you guys are going to probably call that out.
So I'm going to use my platform to share the facts in this very genuine way. And let me begin with the most painful accusation of all. I have never abused our daughter. Before I go through the facts with you today, understand one thing. Every one of these allegations traces back to a single source, my former wife. I filed for divorce in August of 2024. That October, she admitted under oath that I had never harmed our daughter. Every accusation has come since. So ask yourself, what
Oh, absolutely. So if someone gifts a membership, I do get money for that. So if you gift, let's say, one membership, it's $4.99. That money, of course, $4.99 will be going to me, but of course, then I have to give 30% to well, it's automatically taken. They just give me 70% of what I make,
Is continuing to change. Not the facts. There's never been evidence of any kind. What changed, ladies and gentlemen, were the stakes. The first report came 13 days after our shared parenting plan was entered. The next one came in February of 2026 in the heat of our custody fight, days before a court granted me a protection order against her. Her most extreme accusations are the ones that had to deal with child abuse. And they frame me as an abuser timed and every time again to our custody dispute in politics. And not one of these allegations has ever been substantiated by any court or any agency. So let's go through some of the facts. First, on January 20th of 2025, while our custody arrangements were being finalized.
And I mean, I don't know what this, this is just observation. I don't know what's actually going on or if he's in the righteous side of this or not, but I can tell he's nervous. I feel bad for the dude because you can actually see him. He's body language, read body language. He is nervous.
A report was made alleging I physically abused my daughter on March 19th of 2025. Child Protective Services closed its investigation as unsubstantiated to me, meaning there was no evidence and no substantiation in its findings against me, but they were found against 2 daycare workers at a daycare which our daughter was abused. And this is the level of what we have to go through now. It's incredibly upsetting. Let's go to the second one. On another occasion, I went to go pick up our daughter from Miss Moreno's home. She believed that I did not have a properly installed car seat and called the Westlake police, who came to her home and inspected the seat and found it properly installed and apologized to me. The third thing, in February of 2026, I was accused of breaking my daughter's collarbone. I had dropped my daughter off with my former wife.
Why is there so many allegations being thrown around like nonstop?
Before that injury was even discovered. She was not in my care during that time, and when I found out about her injury, I canceled my trip to Florida to be there for her while she recovered. That report went to Children's Services on February 19th of 26, and on April 3rd of 26, Child Protective Services closed it and concluded that once again, there was no evidence to me and that I am not guilty. Another investigation. And fourth, just 2 weeks ago in mid-July, she took our daughter to the hospital over what she believed was a bruise on her neck, when in fact, all we were doing was finger painting, and she could not wait to take her to the emergency room. Just want to be clear, no court, no agency has ever substantiated any allegation.
Now, by the way, when you guys are seeing the lag happen on his side, that's his side. That's not ours over here.
Of abuse against me. No criminal charge has ever been filed against me. My former wife is engaging in a pattern of reporting incredible, serious, and destructive allegations with absolutely no evidence. Every one of these allegations was investigated. And I say that again, every single one of these allegations were already investigated. And I cooperated fully every single time because I had nothing to hide, and I have nothing to hide now. Our court-appointed parenting coordinator, and please listen to this, is a psychologist, and a mandatory reporter, meaning she's required by law, ladies and gentlemen, to report suspected abuse. She has seen everything my former wife has offered against me. In a sworn deposition just this past May, our parent coordinator testified that she was not convinced I ever abused my former wife or my child, and that she has never made a report about anyone hurting our daughter, including myself. Under oath in a deposition, she called these media reports of these incidents greatly exaggerated. My daughter and our daughter, well, I can tell you she's my entire world. And the evidence against me, I wouldn't be able to have joint shared custody of her. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who know, I actually have more time with her and our daughter than the average divorced father in Ohio. And if you're out there listening, and if you've been through a custody dispute or you've been through a divorce.
Very, very true, Jack Talcott. Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Good morning and happy start of the week to you, my man. Good morning.
If you've ever gone through a divorce or custody dispute, you would know that there is zero chance that this would be the case if there were any credibility at all to any of these claims, and there isn't. I also want to address the allegations of domestic abuse. I categorically deny abusing my former wife. Family court disputes are often emotional, painful, and deeply personal. And unfortunately, anyone who has lived through a contested custody case knows it is not uncommon for exaggerated, even entirely baseless allegations of abuse to surface in exact.
Of course. It's leverage in all aspects. Now, truth be told, he's going to go on here for a bit, and respectfully, I don't have the time to sit here and listen to another 10 minutes of this. I understand what's happening here, and if more stories develop out of this, maybe we'll go back and revisit or whatever the case is. I really don't have any opinions about that whole thing. I just feel bad for the innocent, right? We got Representative Marcy Kaptur, I think that's how you say her name, injured in a hit-and-run crash on her way to church, police say, and that happened, obviously, yesterday. That's terrible news. Let's go ahead and figure out what's going on here. Let's go ahead and bring this up here for you guys.
We do want to get to some breaking news that we're following out of Ohio. One of the longest-serving members from the House of Representatives, Marcy Kaptur, involved in a car crash.
And by the way, make sure you guys get the likes up, my man. Listen, we got well over 80 people here between both the live streams, so make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen on the vertical side. You don't have to love all the craziness that's happening around the world, but you guys can like it for me and what we're doing here on Insane Wheels. So thank you for that.
Crashed, hospitalized as she was on her way to church earlier on today. I do want to put this up here on Live Now from Fox News, talking about this breaking news event as Marcy Kaptur, the Democrat from Ohio, was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries after she was involved in a car crash while she was on her way to church on Sunday morning. Marcy also on social media from her official account saying this morning the Congresswoman Kaptur was a passenger in a vehicle on her way to a church service when the car she was traveling in was struck. She is active, alert, and being treated for non-life-threatening injuries.
Good.
We look forward to additional information from Toledo police as they investigate the accident. The Congresswoman Kaptur is thankful for quick actions of first responders from Toledo police and fire departments who arrived promptly on the scene, and the medical professionals helping to take care of those involved in the crash. She expressed her deep gratitude for the hundreds of constituents who've reached out and looks forward to returning to a full schedule soon. So a scary incident in Toledo as she's being treated right now for non-life-threatening injuries after.
All right, so he's just going to repeat it. Okay, sounds good. We understand. I'm just glad that she's not actually seriously hurt. Okay, let's go ahead and get into Trump says U.S.-Iran talks will begin this week after pausing major attack. Now, we got the information this morning that these meetings are negotiations, quote unquote, to an extent, meeting at the table, diplomatic talks, whatever you want to call it, is going to be happening starting today. So we'll be getting into that here very soon. Man, I can't hear it. I hate when they've got it, the audio just terrible. I'm not going to listen to that. It's a little bit better. Hold on. Why am I not sharing the screen? I thought I could have swore I was sharing the screen. But I was going through it and just seeing because it was just terrible audio. Here we go. But this is where it starts getting a little bit better on audio. So let's see. Hold on.
Because we have a good relationship with Japan. We're very strong, very, very strong financially. And they have a weakening yen, and they wanted a little bit of help. And we're always there for Japan. Japan's been very good to us, with the exception, of course, of Pearl Harbor. They were not. What is the U.S. getting out of that arrangement? Financial benefit. Financial benefit. It's also good for the world economy. But we make, like when we did with Argentina, like I criticized, we made $25 billion on that deal. On Venezuela, we make hundreds of millions of dollars. I make good deals. Intel, I made $75 billion for the country. I didn't make for me, I made for the country. Intel, I backed Intel. It's the hottest stock right now on the New York Stock, on the various stock exchanges. So we made about $75 to $80 billion. Japan wanted to, it was really more than anything else, it was a signal of friendship.
He just got questioned about some Japanese currency
and
shit.
And it's because I backed Gordon's opponent, and his opponent won in a landslide.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Be a reimbursement for the pain that they suffer. A lot of people like it. If they don't approve time, I put it back on the table. A lot of people like it. A lot of big supporters of Trump like it.
Oh yeah, that's.
I just learned about it.
Yeah, he's just hearing about the whole allegations that we just presented. A story or two ago.
Well, I'm going to look
Interesting.
at it. I mean, so far it's accusations. I'll be looking at it.
Sir, how you estimated?
Yeah, he said he just learned about it, so that's it. All right, that's enough terrible audio for me that I can take on Air Force One. It's just terrible. Anyways, we're gonna move on. Middle East update: Hamas disarmament deal reportedly faces Israeli concerns. Yeah, you think?
Denied.
You think these guys are gonna disarm themselves? Come on, man. Anyways.
Let's track the latest in the Middle East. Let's get to some of the most recent posts from U.S. Central Command. Today, the U.S. military posted this video showing a U.S. Marine Corps F-35C stealth fighter jet launching from the USS Abraham Lincoln as the aircraft carrier transits the Arabian Sea and supports the U.S. blockade against Iran. CENTCOM says as of August 2nd, CENTCOM has redirected 35 commercial vessels, disabled 2, and boarded another 2. Meanwhile, we're waiting for more word from President Trump after he ordered American forces to hold off on new strikes against Iran last night. Trump says regional allies reached the parameters of a deal to end the 5-month-old war. However, today, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson said on state television that the Strait of Hormuz will in no way return to the status that it was before the war started. And that Iran is discussing shipping through the strait with Oman, but there's no current talk about reopening the strait. You've been looking at pictures that U.S. CENTCOM has posted within the last week or so, as well as that.
Why would you do that, Charles? That seems so evil and cruel.
Video of the F-35C stealth fighter. Professor Alon Burstein is here with me to discuss the latest. And Alon, we kind of had a bit of a whiplash last night. There was an expectation that the U.S. might carry something large out, and then President Trump putting the brakes on. I want to show you something I saw from Saudis. Trump and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had a call before the strike was called off. This statement is coming from the Saudis. It says, in part, the Crown Prince stressed the need to prioritize dialogue to reduce escalation and the importance of making every possible effort to achieve calm that paves the way for diplomatic solutions, preserves the region's security and stability, and prevents a wider conflict whose repercussions would affect regional and international security and stability. So, Alon, how important were regional allies in preventing an escalation this weekend?
Thank you for having me, Austin. As always, it's complicated. We have lots and lots of conflicting reports. Iran and the United States have been talking, despite all the denials coming out from Iran and the power struggles within there, and then the denials, then confirmations from the United States. There's been constant ongoing talks between the sides on a back channel, not the highest level, but on back channels. That's one of the avenues that contributed seemingly to this, I won't say de-escalation, but at least pause in the expected escalation. That's one facet.
Right. And so I got something to let you guys know about on a factual level of what this pause is and what it resembles, but I'll let him finish his monologue first.
Another facet is the region is right now divided between the sides that are pushing the United States towards carrying out what they call one final blow, and that is primarily Israel, and rumors are the United Arab Emirates are also pushing the United States to escalate. Trump said something different, but those are the rumors that are coming out from the Middle East. In turn, on the other side, we have Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, all of these countries.
What's up, Joker? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat, by the way.
Qatar and Saudi Arabia have a direct line to the ear of the president, and all of them are trying to pressure Trump to de-escalate and find a way out of this. I want to put up something here, which also is something that added pressure to the region, and that is an image that Iran published. Iran put this out on Friday night, Saturday.
I saw this. This came out throughout all of Iran state media.
It is their response, essentially, to Trump's threats. And they are showing here a list of energy facilities and targets. The ones in orange are oil, the ones in blue are gas. And the opposite, I think. The ones in orange are gas, and the one in blue are oil. And they are showing an array of targets in Saudi Arabia, in the United Arab Emirates, in Qatar, in Kuwait, in Israel, that they say their missiles are poised and ready to attack if and when their energy facilities are attacked. So what Trump has been saying all along is that in one foul swoop, Iran is going to lose all of its power plants and bridges. Iran is saying the region needs to brace for the fact that the retaliation is going to be not against the United States, against all of the energy production in the region also. Iran put this out on Friday night, Saturday. Reports of a lot of calls between Qatar and Saudi Arabia and Trump throughout the weekend. Trump now puts a halt and says talks are going to resume. He just put out a thing on Truth Social saying talks are going to resume tomorrow. One more thing that I want to say about where things stand with regards to the possible deal between the sides. Over the last week, Iran and Oman have been holding talks about how to negotiate travel through the Straits. And essentially,
yo, what's up, sick bastard? My man, good morning to you. Great to see you, my man. Always
what Iran is trying
you.
to do is come up with a local deal with the partner, so to speak, on the other side of the strait, and therefore cut the United States out. Say both countries agree this is not just Iran imposing its own deals here. The latest thing that was published is that Oman proposed to Iran that they have some sort of joint monitoring mechanism, and Iran responded by offering that Iran will control one way of traffic and Oman will control the other way of traffic, which again would give Iran and theoretically Oman the possibility to cut off the waterway whenever they want. Now, over the last 24 hours, lots of rumors that the sides have come together and there is progress being made. I don't know on which of those versions.
So I'll show you guys what their shipping routes actually look like, by the way. I've got them here on the pictures right here. So in the red is where that's the IRGC's shipping route, Iran's shipping route that they want implemented. And as you guys can see, the incoming traffic goes through Larik and Kesem Island right there. And the reason why that they actually did that is so that they could collect tolls by the end of all of this. But and as you guys can see, the gray arrows or lanes are the United States and Oman's shipping lanes, which we only recognize those shipping lanes, right? Anyways, so let me go ahead and bring this over to this. I'm going to share this tab with you guys. So I asked ChatGPT about the pause this morning, and it comes out, and of course, it's going to give us all the different sources that is being the claim here. So it says right now the war is in a temporary operational pause, not a peace agreement. The military activity has slowed because both Washington and Tehran appear to believe they can get more through diplomacy than other immediate rounds of strikes, but the situation remains extremely fragile. Here's what's happening. Trump halted planned U.S. strikes. President Trump announced that he had called off a new wave of strikes after saying that the parameters of a broader agreement had been reached. He also said that negotiations would resume instead of immediately escalating military. According to U.S. officials, Gulf allies played a significant role in urging restraint. Now, that came out from, believe it or not, ABC 7 Chicago. Then we have Gulf countries pushed hard for de-escalation. Countries such as Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states have a tremendous amount to lose if fighting expands again, of course. Oil infrastructure remains vulnerable. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz remains critical. Another major exchange could drag neighboring countries into conflict. So it says then it's for the Strait of Hormuz is one of the biggest issues. Of course, I think everybody knows that. Iran is publicly contradicting Trump's statements. This is important. Trump says talks are restarting. Iran's foreign ministry says no direct negotiations with the United States are currently taking place, although it acknowledges discussions through intermediaries like your moderators, in-betweeners on regional issues such as the Strait of Hormuz. That means there is still a significant gap between each side's public messaging coming out from Reuters. So, of course, why would both sides want to pause now? The United States wants to preserve military leverage without immediately expanding the war, gives diplomacy one more opportunity, avoids additional economic disruption if a deal is possible. Of course, on the Iran side, has taken substantial military and economic pressure, likely wants to regroup while avoiding another major U.S. strike package and may prefer indirect negotiations through regional mediators rather than direct talks. Does this mean the war is over? No. This looks much more like a pause than an end. Of course, we know that. We have already seen several cycles during this conflict where threats of major strikes, announcement of negotiations, temporary pauses, and followed by renewed military action. What they just threw right here is the exact cycle that I've been telling you guys that we're in right here. This is the same circle that we keep finding ourselves in. And unfortunately, we keep doing it. And it's like, what's the exit strategy? Because it's going to be the same answer every fucking time. So what are we going to be watching for the next 24 to 72 hours? We're going to be looking for whether U.S. and Iranian negotiators actually meet. and whether Iran continues allowing shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, whether Iran-backed proxy groups stop attacking U.S. forces, whether Israel continues independent operations, whether any missile or drone attacks occur. One significant incident could end the current pause most immediately. And of course, something that it really didn't go super into is not just paying attention to that, but also, the Gulf, the neighbors there and stuff like that. I'm going to be specifically looking out what Saudi Arabia's doing and how they're moving. But of course, my eye is on all of it. So let's go ahead and move on from that episode, this part of this. Let's move into Trump cancels U.S. strikes ahead of renewed talks. Now, this comes out this morning. We have a couple of these that are coming out. So let's go and bring this up before we get into some crazy shit that actually is breaking. 700 plus homes destroyed by fast moving fire in Washington state, coming out from CNN just an hour ago. So we'll be playing that here very shortly here for you guys. But let's go ahead and get into this part first. I think it's this one. Yes, it is.
Bringing us back out to live images that we have at the White House in Washington, D.C. Now, the president obviously taking questions from several topics, but I want to focus on the situation between the U.S. and Iran. Bringing us out to a social media post courtesy of Reuters, as it says that Trump says Iran talks to take place on Monday, sets no deadline for a deal, Monday being today. All right, joining us next to break down what we know so far is Jonathan Syed. He is an Iran program research analyst at the Defense for Democracy. Jonathan, good morning.
Good morning. Great to be with you again.
It's good to have you on here. All right, so let's just break this down. President Trump saying that negotiations continuing with Iran. There's no deadline set for those negotiations. Iran, however, is saying that no such negotiations with the U.S. specifically are taking place. Jonathan, what indicators are you watching?
Are you serious? No, that's crazy,
what
bro.
What have you seen so far to really kind of pinpoint exactly what's happening between both sides?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that we are negotiating on someone on Tehran's behalf, while at the same time, regime insiders, one way or another, communicate that they're not, in fact, talking to the United States and contradict what their foreign ministry says. So here, it's the reoccurring battle between the civilian government versus the military apparatus, trying to see which one can dominate the nature of the relationship with the United States. And we have to remember, in each step of the way where the foreign ministry and the civilian government provided the United States with one reassurance or another verbal commitment to not attack the vessels going through the strait, at the same time.
And by the way, we have over 100 people in the live stream between both of them, both live streams. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. Very much appreciate it. I know there's a lot of chaos going around the world, but you guys don't have to like it for that reason. You guys can like it for me and what we're doing here. So
we saw the RGC contradict that with action and actually take out some of these vessels that are transiting through the chokehold. So unfortunately, we cannot keep the foreign ministry at their word, which has been the case even prior to the recent conflict. We just have to wait and see as to what the strategy is, as to what I'm looking for. It's very clearly this administration is still keen on pressuring the regime to get a better deal or somehow get behavior change. We seem to be quite far from that very ambitious mission.
So while Iran says that it's not talking with the U.S. directly, I want to put up this social media post from Al Jazeera. It says that Iran says that progress has been made in talks with Oman, with the foreign ministry spokesperson saying discussions have continued for 7 to 8 days. Tehran says it is also engaging with regional and international partners. If you can, Jonathan, break down kind of this communication between Oman and Iran. Of course, both of them kind of sharing the Strait of Hormuz, surrounding the Strait of Hormuz, which continues to be a major topic here. But also, when they say they're engaging with other regional and international partners, who are they talking about specifically?
To answer your first question, Tehran and Oman's relationship, it's a notable one from the Middle East. So Oman and Qatar are primarily the two Persian Gulf Arab states that have the closest ties to the Islamic Republic. Those are the assets that we often use when we want to negotiate with them indirectly. Now, the relationship, of course, has been tainted both with recent attacks from the Islamic Republic against both Qatar and Oman's infrastructure and where they house U.S. personnel. But more importantly, specifically with Oman, the Islamic Republic wanted to leverage its relationship with that country when it comes to tolling the strait, trying to claim that this is not an act of aggression, or at least unilateral act of aggression from Tehran. Both countries are entitled to somehow obtaining a fee when different vessels are transiting. And Oman did not agree with that. And that's when they were, again, attacked by the Islamic Republic. So what's notable about these countries is that despite all the attacks they're getting.
What's up, Dragon Classy? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat, and happy start to the week to you and everybody here.
They still, one way or another, want to appease the regime, which really signals the fact that they are worried about the regime remaining in place and becoming more aggressive, and these allies feeling abandoned militarily, that they have to deal with a more aggressive, more hostile Islamic Republic that is deprived of cash flow and is more eager to obtain more.
This is a live look at the Strait of Hormuz, courtesy of Marine Traffic, by the way. The green dots on the screen, cargo vessels, the red dots, they are.
So what she means by cargo vessels is like container ships. And then you've got the red, which are tankers. Those are holding petroleum of some sort.
Tanker vessels. All right, I'm working off a lot of social media posts here, Jonathan, because I want to get your reaction to this. It kind of drives the conversation forward. It goes back to another quote that the president had there speaking to reporters, where he had said that he was asked by Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and by Qatar, and by Iran, we're all set to go. He's talking specifically about these strikes, but Gulf allied nations there apparently telling President Trump, do not attack. So how, and you had mentioned this within your last answer, that they are, kind of concerned about where this is going, the kind of power that Iran has here. What kind of turning point is this signal now that really all of these countries are getting heavily involved? And also, what kind of risks are they facing if the president were to choose to attack Iran?
Well, they would respond exactly with what the threat was with oil, gas, and that's basically why it's being stopped, because our neighbors, or their neighbors, I guess, the Gulf neighbors, they were like letting Trump know, hey, actually, we need to make sure that we don't make these strikes happen.
In the ways that he had been talking about over the last couple of days.
As you pointed out, these countries would be the primary victims or recipients of Iranian aggression. And that's inherently by design. The Islamic Republic knows it cannot really effectively reach U.S. personnel elsewhere. They tried in Europe. They tried assassination plots.
And that's why they're going to go for oil and shit like that. You know what I mean? They just threatened it on Friday.
Even tried to get involved with Israel, but that proved to be more costly. So the safest bet for them to maximize their leverage and cost against the United States is going after Persian Gulf state allies, paired with throttling the Strait of Hormuz again in the Persian Gulf. It requires cheaper missiles. At the same time, these states don't really meaningfully respond. We've seen a couple of reports here and there saying Saudi Arabia took out strikes against RGC in Iraq, or the UAE actually took out targets inside Iran. But again, very minimal in scope. But their stance is not necessarily a new development. These countries, for the longest time, have been caught in the crossfire, knowing Tehran's strategy. Their ideal scenario is two circumstances. One, a peace agreement, one way or another, ideally that would not give the Islamic Republic too much monopoly over oil exports, ideally not a return to the JCPOA, but one way or another, a peace deal that would halt these attacks. Or,
well, not only halting attacks, but then also getting the Strait of Hormuz to the same exact what it was before the war.
And this is maybe a bit ambitious to claim, but I do think these countries are also moving more towards regime change, because they know this hostile entity that they're residing by does not really abide by international norms.
No, they don't. And the problem is you're not going to get a regime change from the air with the IRGC. And it is very true. You're not going to see any type of real actual deal with the IRGC. Just you may even see a small deal, but then it'll be broken later on. It's all bullshit, dude. It's terrible.
So
terrible
this is
situation.
Also the current status of not absolute war, but no peace either. This in-between gray area is really harming these countries as they see it, which is why they either don't want the strikes to escalate without an end plan, or they want to see perhaps one form of de-escalation, whatever that would look like.
All right, so that's enough of that. Let me see if there's any posts. It looks like there is something here that Institute for the Study of War. They're actually showing another shipping route. This is an updated shipping route now. I've got to get this. This coming out August 2nd of 2026. So the IRGC actually moved their shipping route. Instead of it going through between Lyric and Kesem Island, they actually moved it below. I think that's because they know that we would never allow that to slide in the first place. But this is very interesting that changed like that.
Who's calling the shots? This is a lengthy post. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's from the Institute for the Study of War. They say Iranian negotiators, such as the foreign affairs minister, may be willing to make limited compromises with the United States over the extent of Iranian control over the Strait of Hormuz. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps faction, led by the IRGC commander, which appears to be currently dominating regime decision-making, will likely reject any arrangement that meaningfully reduces Iranian control over the waterway. However, all right, Jonathan, what kind of issue arises from this when we're hearing one kind of establishment of the leadership there in Iran saying, okay, maybe we'll come to a consensus, maybe we can negotiate, but we have the other side who seemingly is calling the shots, the IRGC, saying no.
GG knows the deal. Good morning, by the way, if I didn't say it.
There are two main angles there. Number one, it's about whether there's a genuine disagreement in meaningful policy. And I'm not talking about one side wanting to simply discuss something with the United States, whereas the other side just does not want to have any diplomatic engagement. I'm talking about substantive issues, whether the foreign ministry or the civilian government genuinely wants to give up Iran's control over the Strait, or whether they, in fact, more or less agree with the broad strategy that the IRGC is using. Maybe they found the extent to be too far. Or another.
Okay, that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and see if there is any other posts here. It looks like there is something. Senator Rick Scott says he doesn't expect new talks with Iran to succeed, reacting on the big weekend show to President Trump announcing negotiations will begin tomorrow, which is today. He posted this obviously yesterday. Scott says Trump is, quote, giving diplomacy a chance, but adds, do I think it's going to work? Probably not. Scott argues Iran will continue pursuing a nuclear weapon unless its capabilities are completely destroyed, and says the U.S. must remain prepared to use military force. Well, that's what we're watching. We're watching, I mean, pretty much that. So let's go ahead and move on into, let's see if there's any updates on this. It looks like there is something, so I'm going to play it quickly, but we're going to skim through it really quick. We still got to get into this whole tragic situation where 700 plus homes have been destroyed by a fast moving fire in Washington state, by the way. But let's go ahead and see if there's any information. There is some posts here. So let's go ahead and get to it. Hold on. Let's get to here. This is coming from Iran International English. Let's go ahead and see what they're saying.
That are just pretty much stuck there at this point. What I want to do is bring you all of the latest coming in out of the Middle East, as Iran is now claiming there are no.
Yes, that is very true. We are officially in overtime. You know what they say about, overtime? No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Send in your freaking money. Absolutely. All right, here we go.
Discussions today with the U.S. over a potential peace deal, as President Trump says he stopped those new strikes because of those talks. Iran International English posting this, saying Iran is not currently holding talks with the U.S. and is instead negotiating with Oman over a temporary safe route through the Strait of Hormuz. That's according to the Foreign Ministry spokesperson. He said that today, quote, as long as the United States continues its violations, there will naturally be no significant change in the situation in the Strait of Hormuz. Again, essentially reiterating here that they are going to take part in talks with Oman, but not with the U.S. In the meantime, Fox News saying President Trump says a deal with Iran is close and that talks will resume today, aimed at finalizing an agreement on the Strait of Hormuz. That's according to Trey Yingst, our buddy there over at Fox. The talks come after the president said he was asked by Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia to hold off on attacks as high-level negotiations continue.
And that's exactly what we were explaining, why Trump actually didn't go through with the strikes. It wasn't just him doing a bluff or something like that. He actually legitimately got asked by those people, or those countries, for us to halt.
All right, so to discuss pretty much everything.
Don't need to discuss it. Let's go ahead and go into other reports that are being thrown up during this. Okay, there's something here
coming out. We've only seen statements.
Government of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Iran foreign minister arrived in Iraq. Najif, I think that's how you say it. I don't know. Najif, Iraq.
From him, and we've seen file photos of him. Nothing that really points to him being in charge or him being, making any kind of decision or having the capability to do.
Okay, we have other updates here. Let's see what this is coming from Iran International English.
You and I have been discussing time and time again, and that's the execution of those who have either protested there in Iran against the regime or done something else.
Thank you, Naomi. You be safe out there. We always appreciate you.
That they've been charged with. And this is actually a post from Iran International English from a short time ago as well. As they say, Iran executed 2 political prisoners convicted of, quote, spying and intelligence cooperation with Israel. That was earlier on today, according to the judiciary's Mizan news agency, reporting that a recent surge.
What's up, Stacks, my man? Good morning.
In executions tied to national security charges, we're seeing a lot of those kind of pick up. And you have a photo there of the 2 men who were killed in a hanging wave, so to speak, there on the left-hand side. So it seems as though Iran is still trying to prevent people from taking to the streets, like we saw in January, by not only hanging these protesters, but essentially doing it publicly so that other people see it almost as an example, basically saying, don't protest or this will happen to you.
Yeah, it's making an example out of somebody in a situation which is terrible, fucking miserable. Okay, we got Phil Stewart coming out from Reuters, says Iran said on Monday there were no talks underway with the United States and had no plans for any meetings, contradicting U.S. President Donald Trump, who had cited talks he said would take place Monday afternoon as justification for calling off attacks. Iran's foreign ministry said no negotiations with the United States were taking place and no meetings were scheduled. Iran had no plans to host foreign delegations or send negotiators abroad in the coming days, he said. Bengi, I don't even know how to say his actual name, added that all Iran negotiators were currently in the country, apart from Foreign Ministry Abbas Arkachi, who was on a religious pilgrimage in Iraq. The only talks underway, he said, were discussions with Oman over management of the Strait of Hormuz. A senior Iran source also told Reuters that no talks were planned and that Arkachi would be unavailable at least until the end of the week. Interesting developments, man. All right, so that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and get into now this whole different terrible situation here. 700 plus homes destroyed by fast-moving fire in Washington state. This is coming out from CNN just about an hour ago. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Here we go.
Nearly 65,000 families
they are loud as fuck over there. Okay.
Evacuated. 0% containment of these wildfires. Multiple dangerous
0%.
fires are spreading across the Spokane area in Washington state.
Oh shit, what's up, Sterling Will, my man? Good morning.
So far, officials
Happy
say
Monday.
that more than 700 homes have been destroyed, and some of the images of the destruction that we're seeing, they're just tragedy. Watch this.
Oh, that is tragic. Look at that already.
This is insane.
Yeah, it's insane. That shit sucks. Wildfires.
That is what families were seeing from the water as they were trying to escape. Let's get to CNN's Julia Vargas Jones. She's on the scene in Spokane this morning. What are you hearing there today?
Okay, it's not a regular Monday in Spokane. People are waking up to see just the extent of this tragedy. As you mentioned, 65,000 residences evacuated to places like this, to shelters where they're faced with that uncertainty of whether or not they will even have
basically, but up there in the state of Washington, Texas Gidget,
a home to return to. And some of them who have been able to go and see their properties completely destroyed, engulfed by the fire and just spit out as just almost charcoal.
Wow. Look at that shit.
They had really interesting insight into whether or not they could even return and build a life in these areas. Again, take a listen.
I don't think I'm going to rebuild here because I don't ever want to have to relive a fire coming up this hill again. And I've been in Spokane my entire 64 years because my little brother died in an accident when he was 6. And that's why I stayed close to my family.
It's so heartbreaking, Kate, to hear that kind of thinking coming from these residents. We saw so many people grappling with that very decision as we drove past these neighborhoods with row after row of homes destroyed. Now, officials here from the National Guard is urging people to please be patient. It will take some time to return to their homes. There's a lot of work to be done here. As you mentioned, the fire is still at 0% containment. So there is that part of the work being done, but also clearing the roads, clearing debris for people to come back. That can take some time. Still 10,000 people without any kind of electricity around this area. It will be a difficult path to recovery.
And joining us right now to talk more about this is the Deputy Director for Spokane County Emergency Management, Chandra Fox. Thank you so much for jumping on this morning. Can you just give me your assessment of where things stand this morning?
Good morning, Kate. Happy to be with you today. So
I love when these people get on these, humongous platforms, CNN, Fox, whatever, doesn't matter. And they come on their laptop from 2012 and got terrible audio, no microphone. I hate bad audio.
this morning, we're not quite 48 hours into this incident. And as you noted, we have multiple fires burning in several locations across the county. As emergency management, we're still very, very focused on public safety. We're still working through the evacuation process, making sure that we're getting folks out of the area as needed. We did have some expansion in evacuation areas yesterday evening. So we have a little.
They just brought it up here. It says 3 wildfires torch 7,000 plus acres in Spokane County, Washington. Wow. And the person that's speaking right now is Deputy Director, Spokane County Emergency Management, by the way. That's who you're hearing speak right now.
A little bit of an expansion on the Autumn Lane fire. You know, it's a challenging time.
Do you have reports of anyone injured or unaccounted for?
So we have, at this point, fortunately, we've had no injuries to any of our public safety responders. We have lost.
Okay, but what about the innocent people that live there?
Some equipment. We lost, one of our fire districts lost a brush truck in the fires. I believe it was Sunday that happened. As far as loss of life, we have no information on that right now. We do have a number of missing persons reports that law enforcement is following up on.
Well, how many is that? How many missing people do you have right now?
But to this point right now, we have no information.
I hate how she's not specific about anything.
Information on any potential fatality.
Okay.
God damn it.
There, yeah,
that means nothing.
The deputy fire chief I was speaking through for the county, he was concerned that those missing persons reports were going to start coming in since this really blew through so quickly. It started and came through so quickly.
Yeah, Jack, look how bad this is. This is terrible.
The latest we have had is that there are more than 700 homes destroyed and nearly 65,000 families have been forced to evacuate across.
Damn, how many people evacuated?
Latest we have had is that there are more than 700 homes destroyed and nearly 65,000 families have been forced.
65,000 families? Oh, shit.
To evacuate across the Spokane area. Can you give me, is that the latest numbers you have?
That's pretty much what we know right now of what we refer to as 700 structures. So that does include some outbuildings and some shops in the rural areas, but that will be, unfortunately, the majority of that number will.
Yeah, that could be barns. It could be anything.
Be primary homes.
But I don't think Spokane's got all that shit going on for them, but whatever.
The deputy fire chief I was speaking.
Do they have barns in Spokane, Washington, or is that more of like a city vibe?
Speaking to also just said really plainly that it's not only devastating, but also just something that he's really just not seen before and just how fast this has moved. Can you, Chandra, just give me your sense of that, your experience with this so far, what you're hearing from people on what is unfolding?
It really is. It's not normal for us. I mean, wildfire is our primary hazard for Spokane County. We have a very
rural,
very risk-prone environment where it's very typical for the entirety of the county to be under some level of drought condition during the summer months. But unfortunately this year, because we had a very...
Yeah, I really don't know shit about the state of Washington. I actually worked in basically that whole like Seattle area. I did do that for a little while, but I was more on the ocean side. You know, I worked on the ocean. So, yeah, interesting. But I was a part of the Puget Sound for a couple of years.
Had a very warm and uneventful winter. We did not have the snowpack that we normally have. And so at this point, you know, we're here on the 3rd of August. And in terms of fuel load and fuel condition across the landscape, we're actually about 6 weeks ahead in terms of conditions. So where we're at today are conditions we normally see at the end of August or into September. So we're very concerned that not only are we under heightened risk, we're also potentially looking at fires well into October.
Yeah, not only what you're dealing with now, but what this portends if you're already here today, what the rest of this fire season is going to look like for you guys. Chandra, thank you very much. You guys have a lot of work ahead of you. I really appreciate you.
Potential is not good.
Yeah, no, this is terrible. And the happy truck driver, I appreciate you with the insight there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough. Obviously, I cannot do this without you guys. And thank you to the members that allow us to sincerely do this Monday through Friday. And then, of course, members only on Saturday morning, man. So anyways, listen, we'll be back tomorrow morning for more of the world's madness as we continue down this truth-seeking adventure. We always appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys hit the like on the way out. Double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. And listen, man, we'll be back here tomorrow morning. So much love, honor, respect, everybody. God bless.
From the depths of darkness,